Alright guys, what's going on? It's Jack and welcome back to another video. So as far as X2M is concerned, there really hasn't been anything to really talk about lately, so that's definitely a reason as to why videos really haven't been coming out on the channel for the last, I don't know, 3-4 days or something like that. So yeah, not much going on. Now obviously over the last 48 hours a lot has been going on the Call of Duty side, in particular the mod side of things, and of course Activision, we all know, sent a cease and desist to the guys that wanted to do the mod of Modern Warfare 2 Remastered or whatnot. And as you guys know, about a year previously, or give or take a year previously, there was a project called SM2 or SM Squared that also got a cease and desist from Activision. So it seems now, I was really literally scrolling through Twitter as I was just waiting for time to go by for me to like leave the house to go to work. And now obviously you want to take this with a grain of salt because obviously nothing is really, I mean, I don't particularly follow this person all the time. They just happen to be in my timeline, but it seems that the developers of SM2 or SM Squared and the guys that were working on the mod for Modern Warfare 2 Remastered are going to combine forces and basically make their own project and game. Because obviously if you make your own project and game from scratch, everything from the engine and everything else that follows, well, you're basically, you don't have to worry about anybody doing a cease and desist. It is your project and everything like that, which is really cool. And it is something that I think is important enough that we can at least keep in the back of our minds. So the only thing that I will say is that it is going to take a while before that project gets released at some point in time, right? It's going to take quite a while because these guys, as far as I understand, are just very, very passionate fans of the genre and of the games, and are basically doing things for the passion of the community or whatnot. And so these guys already are working full-time jobs, and pretty much with every single second that they have to spare, they work on this project. And as you guys know, things can take quite a while to go from A to B, especially when you look at X-Defiant. Like if you look at X-Defiant, we have like, let's say 50, I'm just going to guess that we have around 50 developers working on that game, and it is their full-time job. And yet, you know, when you look at X-Defiant, it's got all these different kinds of issues and stuff that basically have yet to be fixed after quite a while now. Now, I have noticed over the last session or so that I played the game, because I took a few days to take care of some personal stuff, which I'm glad I did, and I will end up taking more. However, one thing that I've noticed ever since the last patch is that X-Defiant, for me, personally for me, has been more responsive. Obviously, it still has some problems, but it's been more responsive in the hit detection area, as well as, I mean, I'm still getting shot around corners here and there, but it seems to be a little less prevalent, and everything has just been more responsive. It feels like the game is, like the pace of the game has been sped up. Like the hit detection is like, you know, happening faster. The time to kill speed has like the time to kill has like how do I put this, has decreased. In other words, you know, people are dropping faster, etc., etc. The bullets seem to be connecting faster, as if the traveling time of the bullets has been increased. So this is actually usually a good sign, because I can remember with other games, even in past Call of Duties, if my connection was not good or if things were still not up to par as where they should be, it seemed like everything was kind of delayed, and you can tell. But right now it's like seems the opposite with this game. But that's my experience, and obviously with X-Defiant, everybody's experience is completely different regardless of how much you play. So I just kind of wanted to report on that. I'm not, you know, falsely reporting anything. As a matter of fact, I believe this gameplay that you're going to be seeing is from that session. So, and I believe I'm either using the M16 without a suppressor on this one. So, but yeah, everything just seems a lot more, and it's got nothing to do with not me having the suppressor, because I know when you put a suppressor, everything seems kind of delayed. But I also was in the same session using my LMG, but I kept the suppressor on, and everything was a lot more responsive. So just kind of thought I'd report on that, and you guys can let me know in the comment section what you've been feeling. If there's been any difference at all whatsoever for you guys, you can let me know. I'd love to hear what you guys have been experiencing with the game. But I also want to know in the comment section what you guys think. Like, obviously, in theory, to me, this sounds good in terms of these two guys that are nothing but passionate fans that truly know and understand the game and the franchise or whatnot, creating their own project from scratch. I think that's great. But it's going to be years before the game comes out. That's for sure. If this actually ends up coming to fruition, and if they actually get a team together and they start working on a project from scratch, and then they they develop the engine and then they go from there, it's going to take years for that to come out, because I'm pretty sure that the amount of people that they have working on it are not many, and on top of that, these people have full-time jobs, and they're like purely doing this as from the passion that they have for the game and franchise. But at this point, I would guess that they're probably going to try to recruit more people that are like-minded to get more people on board to develop the game, so that way they can get the wheels turning at an adequate speed. But at the same time, you can't really deny the fact that these people also have real-time jobs, because they need to pay their bills and all that. Like if they were to focus on 40 hours a week doing this, that's an insane week. I mean, I'm all about this, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I don't want people to basically stress themselves out to get to that goal, so to speak. Right now, obviously, if you want to succeed, there's always hurdles to overcome, sure, but at the same time, you want to be able to be consistent with everything that you do, regardless of what it is. So if they can find a consistency without going into complete insanity, then hey, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? And I'm really curious as to if this does come to fruition, I'm really curious as to what it's going to be and how it's going to play, and how it's going to be similar but yet different to everything else that we've been getting in terms of arcade shooters. But I have no doubt that these guys have have their heads in the right place, and it's only going to be a matter of time before we actually find out, like, hey, what's been going on. So but the good news is, obviously, if they create something from scratch, then nobody else can touch them. They can't, there's nothing you have to worry about as far as the cease and desist is concerned. It's actually I'm really curious as to what engine they're going to use and how they're going to go from there. And the cool thing about this is that if they use an old engine, I think the infrastructure and the language of the engine is a lot easier and simpler to figure out, which is one of the reasons why it takes a long time for a lot of games to release nowadays. It's because of like understanding the engine and then maybe modifying it and then doing whatever. But if the engine is fairly simple and old enough to where it's familiar, then I would say that would probably, chop down a significant amount of the time that it takes in order to create a game like this. And as you know, as far as the community of arcade shooter fans is concerned, we don't need to have the prettiest game in existence. We don't need to have something that is like literally modern or whatnot. We're fairly simple. We just want a game that like feels really good. Like even if you look at some of the older games to this day, like if you see like CSGO, how long that game has been around, like that game was around for over a decade. I think it was 15 years before they started doing the whole CSGO 2 thing or whatnot. But the thing is, it just goes to show that it's about how a game really feels or whatnot. So if the game ends up feeling good enough, and if the hit detection is good, if the time to kill is good, if the net code is good, the servers and all that kind of stuff, the tick rate, you put all that together, then I think you're in for a really good treat. But again, we will see how this plays out. So I would take everything with a grain of salt until we get like more something more concrete than this, I guess. But yeah, it's exciting news, and I thought this was something worth talking about. And at the same time, I wanted to put out a video because it's been like, I don't know, 4 days, give or take. So, but what do you guys think about this? I'd really love to know down in the comment section below. And with that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.